You think food will save you when the system crashes? You think people will trade gold for rice? Maybe. But let me ask you this, how are you going to cook that rice without fuel? Store it without containers? Keep it safe when your neighbors are watching your every move? See, real preppers know when the collapse hits, food isn't king. It's common, and common things lose value fast. The items that'll actually matter? They're the ones no one's talking about. The ones people throw away now but will fight over when reality flips. And by the time they realize it, the smart ones will already be trading those worthless items for bags of food. This isn't just another list of prepper gear. This is the real inventory, the stuff that quietly becomes currency when food becomes background noise. In this video, we're going deep into 12 hidden prepping products that will be worth more than food in a real, long-term collapse. Not because they're rare, but because they solve problems that food can't. After each one, I'll give you my blunt take, no hype, no fluff, and I want to hear from you in the comments. Which one of these would you never give up, even if someone offered you their last meal? And if you want more than just the basic prepper checklist, if you're building to outlast instead of just surviving, then hit that subscribe button now, because when food runs out, the game changes. And you better have something else on the table. Number 1, wooden cloth hangers. You've probably got a few just hanging in your closet holding shirts, jackets, or gathering dust behind the laundry door. But in a collapse, wooden hangers become way more than just clothing accessories. They become raw survival material. First off, they're burnable. Unlike plastic hangers that melt and release toxic fumes, wooden hangers can be snapped or chopped into small pieces to use as kindling for fires. When dry fuel is scarce, and trust me, it will be, those chunks of polished wood become your ignition edge. Second, they're carvable. With a basic knife, you can repurpose a wooden hanger into tent pegs, trap components, or even rudimentary tool handles. It's dense, durable material, and that kind of flexibility becomes gold when scavenging options are gone. They also come with metal hooks. Pull those out, and now you've got a fishing hook, gear clip, or even a quick trap trigger. You're turning an ignored closet item into multi-use survival hardware. Most people throw these out during spring cleaning, but the smart ones? They're stacking them in bins, knowing full well that wood, once the shelves go empty, will be worth more than canned goods to the guy who needs fire or a way to hang food off the ground. My take? I've already got 40 plus stashed in the garage, and not one is holding a shirt. Now your turn, would you trade one of these for food? Or hold on to it when your lighter's out and your fire won't start? Let me know in the comments. Number 2, cooking oil. Most people see cooking oil as something for frying eggs or making parathas, but in a full-blown collapse, that same bottle becomes survival-grade gold. First, it's fuel. Pour it into a metal lid, drop in a cotton wick, and you've got an oil lamp. When candles are gone and batteries are dead, that flickering flame means visibility, warmth, and security. One bottle of oil can give hours of light without drawing attention like a generator. Second, it's a preservative. You can seal cooked meat in oil to extend shelf life. Ancient survivalists did it for centuries. In a world without fridges, oil keeps your protein from spoiling. Third, it's medicinal. Minor cuts and skin abrasions? Cooking oil can help protect wounds from dirt and bacteria when no antiseptic is around. It's not perfect, but it's better than exposing open skin to infection. And let's talk trade. When food is scarce, people hoard rice, beans, and canned goods but forget oil, until their food is dry, tasteless, or uncookable. That's when you show up with a half-liter bottle and watch their eyes widen. You're not just trading calories, you're trading solutions. My take? I rotate bottles every few months and stock multiple types: vegetable, mustard, even ghee, not just for flavor, but for flexibility. Because when the grid's down and the gas is gone, cooking oil might be the only thing standing between a cold meal and a real one. Your move: do you stock oil for more than food? Or is it just sitting in your kitchen until someone else needs it more? Let me know. Number 3, old credit, debit card. Expired but plastic cardstock. Think it's useless once expired? Think again. In a collapse scenario, that old plastic card becomes an unexpected survival tool you'll be glad you held on to. First, it's a rigid scrapper, ideal for scraping off ice from windows in winter or cleaning thick grime from pots and dishes when steel scrubbers are gone. Lightweight and portable, it gives leverage without bulk. Second, it's a fire tinder base. You can scrape wood shavings directly onto it and use it to funnel sparks from a ferro rod cleaner, and less mess than using bark or leaves. Plus, it's waterproof, stores easily, and gives you precise control during ignition. Third, the edges are great for making straight cuts in soft materials like duct tape, zip bags, or cloth, all without cutting your fingers. Need to cut tape? Use the card's edges. No scissors? Still get a straight line. And don't underestimate its value in trade or signaling. The plastic reflects light well. Use it for flash signaling. Or hand it over as a barter item with someone who needs to file grooves, scrape frost, or simply wants a compact scraper. My take? I keep 2 expired cards in every gear, kit 1 scrapper, 1 backup. Light, versatile, disposable, but worth far more than the paper it's printed on during despair. Your turn. Do you toss your expired cards? Or do you carry them because you know when nothing else works, plastic survival pays? Drop your thoughts below. Number 4. Pocket-sized mirrors. In normal life, they're vanity tools. You use them to fix your hair, check your teeth, or maybe they just sit in an old makeup kit. But when the grid goes down and the system collapses, that tiny mirror becomes survival gear. First, it's a signaling device. A mirror in sunlight can reflect a beam, visible from miles away, a critical advantage if you're ever stranded, injured, or trying to alert someone without shouting. It's one of the oldest yet most effective low-tech SOS tools. Second, it's hygiene monitoring. When clean water is scarce and infection risk is high, being able to see a wound, a swollen gum, or your eyes in real time matters more than ever. You don't realize how much you depend on mirrors until you don't have one. Third, it's psychological. In a world that's crumbling, seeing your own face reminds you who you are. It's grounding. That mental reset, even if just for a second, can help you keep control when panic is trying to creep in. And finally, mirrors are tradable. Small, break-resistant ones with rounded edges and decent clarity will disappear fast. They're a mix of utility, morale, and value. My take? I've added 3 compact mirrors to my bug-out bag. 1 for use, 2 for trade. Lightweight, unbreakable, forgotten, until they're not. Now your turn. If tomorrow you lost power, plumbing, and peace, would you rather hold a weapon or see clearly what you're fighting for? Drop your thoughts below. Number 5. Empty matchboxes. Sturdy ones. Sounds useless, right? Just an old cardboard box that once held matches. Most people toss them without thinking. But real preppers? They see something completely different. Empty matchboxes are compact, lightweight, and built to hold fragile, flammable material. That makes them perfect for storing strike-anywhere matches, cotton fire starters, fishing hooks, painkillers, or even tiny screws and survival pills. Think of them as mini survival lockers, small enough to carry in a pocket, but organized enough to keep your essentials separate and protected. They're also incredibly useful for barter. Imagine handing over a Ziploc full of mixed meds versus handing someone a labeled matchbox with 10 antibiotics and a fire starter tucked neatly inside. It's the difference between chaos and trust, and in a world gone sideways, trust has value. Plus, matchboxes can be used for tactical purposes. Label and organize different boxes by category: fire, med, fish, sew, color code with markers or tape. It's a makeshift inventory for people who can't afford to fumble when every second counts. And let's not forget morale. Sometimes, all you need is a compact place to store a folded photo, a morale quote, or even a tiny piece of chocolate. That tiny box becomes a vault of hope. My take? I never throw away sturdy matchboxes. I relabel them, repurpose them, and keep a stack preloaded for grab and go. What about you? Are matchboxes just trash in your house? Or could they be the most underestimated survival tool you never considered? Let's talk below. Number 6. Tooth powder or tablets. Let's be honest, most people overlook dental hygiene during prepping. They stock up on food, ammo, filters, but forget about their teeth. That's a mistake, because once dental problems hit in a collapse, they don't just hurt, they can become deadly. Enter tooth powder and tablets. Unlike toothpaste, these don't dry out, freeze, or explode in heat. They come shelf-stable, compact, and long-lasting. No water? No problem. Chew a tablet, swish with a few drops, spit done. Clean teeth, clean conscience. Why does this matter in a collapse? Because poor oral hygiene can lead to infections. Gum disease, abscesses, or even cracked teeth can put you out of commission. And if you think a dentist will be around post-collapse, you're dreaming. Plus, these aren't just for hygiene. Tooth powder can double as a mild abrasive, useful for scrubbing tools, cleaning delicate gear, or even treating a rash. Tablets? Lightweight, individually packed, easy to trade. People will hoard food and forget this until it's too late. I've traded half a dozen chew tabs for canned goods in a mock barter simulation, and the reaction? Grateful, surprised, even desperate. And here's the kicker: tooth powder isn't glamorous. It's not sexy gear, but it's something people always need, never expect, and can't easily make. My take? I keep a bag of chew tabs in every bug-out pack. One for hygiene, one for trade, one for insurance. Now your turn. Do you think about long-term oral health in your prepping? Or is this something you'd trade a meal for when the pain hits? Let me know below. Number 7. Plastic buckets, 5L or smaller. You've seen them holding paint, detergent, or maybe garden soil. But in a collapse, those same plastic buckets turn into survival gold. Let's start with the basics: water. You need a clean, sealed container to haul and store it. Forget fancy hydration packs, these buckets do it better. Stackable, lightweight, durable. They don't puncture like bags or collapse like thin bottles. When you need to fetch water from a distance, this is your answer. Next, sanitation. With no running water, you'll need a way to handle waste, human or otherwise. Line one with a trash bag, add some absorbent material, and now you've got a field toilet. Without it, hygiene goes downhill fast. Food storage? Absolutely. These buckets can hold rice, flour, sugar, or even canned goods. Toss in an oxygen absorber, and you've got long-term stash potential. Plus, they keep rodents and moisture out, two of your biggest enemies post-collapse. But we're not done. Buckets can become stools, makeshift washing machines, planters, or even bait traps. And if you're smart, you'll color code them: red for fuel, blue for water, green for food. Instant organization in a world of chaos. Here's what people don't realize in a collapse: function beats fashion. Buckets might look low-tech, but they do 10 jobs better than 10 single-use tools. My take? I stack them inside each other in the garage. Cheap, clean, and irreplaceable when the taps run dry. What about you? Are buckets part of your prepping gear? Or will you realize their value only when you've got nothing to carry water in? Comment below. Number 8. Old belts. Leather or faux. Most people toss them when they crack, fade, or get too tight. But in a survival scenario, that same beat-up belt could save your gear or your life. Let's talk about utility first. A leather belt isn't just for holding up pants, it becomes a tourniquet in seconds. If someone's bleeding out from a limb injury and you've got no med kit nearby, wrapping a belt above the wound and cinching it tight can buy you critical time. It's not ideal, but in collapse conditions, it's everything. Need to carry firewood, strap gear to your back, or drag a wounded friend? A strong belt gives you leverage. Use it as a shoulder sling, a tie-down, or even lash poles together for a makeshift shelter. It's a survival-grade strap hiding in your closet. Belts also work great as tool loops. Attach knives, multi-tools, flashlights, even a canteen right to your waist. Keep your hands free while everything critical stays on your body. They're also stealthy trade items. A clean leather belt can fetch real value in barter. In a world of broken zippers and sagging jeans, people will gladly trade rations for one that fits. And here's something no one mentions: a belt brings control. In chaos, gear discipline keeps you alive. Belts help you organize, secure, and stabilize. My take? I keep 5 spares, different lengths, thicknesses, and materials. All coiled, labeled, and ready. Now your turn. Is your old belt trash? Or is it quietly waiting to become your most versatile survival tool? Drop your take in the comments. Number 9. Metal mixing bowls. Most people think of them as kitchen tools, just something to hold dough or salad. But when society breaks down, these unassuming bowls become survival assets. First, they're heat safe. You can boil water in them over an open flame, cook rice or beans directly in the bowl, or even melt wax for candles. No need for a fancy pot or camp stove, just a metal bowl and fire. In a collapse, that simplicity is priceless. Next, sanitation. When running water disappears, washing your hands, utensils, or wounds becomes tactical. A metal bowl helps you conserve water while keeping cleanliness under control. Fill it halfway, and you've got a makeshift sink. They're also great for food prep and ration control. When every grain of rice counts, you need a container that shows you exactly what you're working with. A shallow bowl helps measure and divide portions, precisely essential when you're feeding a group or managing a tight food supply. And let's not forget, metal bowls don't crack like plastic or shatter like glass. They're stackable, nearly indestructible, and easy to clean. That alone makes them gold in grid-down scenarios. They even serve morale. A hot meal eaten from a familiar bowl instead of cold food off a rock makes a psychological difference. My take? I've got 6 metal bowls stashed in my gear, all different sizes. Nest them, store them, forget about them, until you need them. What about you? Will you be cooking over fire with a reliable metal bowl, or wishing you hadn't donated them last spring? Let's hear it in the comments. Number 10. Crayons, whole packs. At first glance, crayons look like a child's toy, something for coloring books, school projects, or stuck under your car seat. But when the grid goes dark and survival becomes priority one, that box of forgotten wax sticks suddenly becomes a tactical asset. Let's start with fire. A single crayon burns for nearly 30 minutes. That's longer than most tea lights. Strip the paper, light the tip, and you've got an instant mini torch ideal for fire starting in wet conditions or dim light. Compact, waterproof, and incredibly easy to ignite. Next, crayons are barter-friendly. Think about it, families with children will crave a sense of normalcy. A small pack of crayons can become a psychological lifeline for kids trapped in a crisis. That emotional value makes them perfect trade material, and they're not just for kids. Crayons write on almost anything: wood, metal, stone, even in the rain. Mark gear, write emergency notes, draw trail signals, or even label food containers when ink runs out. Plus, they don't dry out. While pens freeze and markers fade, crayons remain stable across weather conditions. Toss a few in your bag, and they'll still work months, even years later. One more trick? Melt them down into makeshift candles. Add a string for a wick, and you've got a survival light source built from broken bits. My take? I've vacuum sealed 6 full packs, one for fire, one for barter, and the rest for morale. Now over to you, would you trade food for fire, or sanity for silence? Drop your thoughts below, because in survival, the smallest tools often carry the loudest impact. Number 11. Shoe polish tins, full or empty. They sit forgotten at the back of closets, dusty, dented, and usually ignored. But when everything collapses, shoe polish tins become one of the most underrated survival assets you didn't know you had. Let's start with full tins. The polish inside isn't just for boots, it's a waterproofing solution. You can rub it onto canvas, leather, or even thin fabric to create water-resistant layers. If your gloves, bag, or shoes get soaked during a storm or snow, this can save you from freezing. But beyond polish, it's the container that truly shines. Empty tins are compact, sealable, and built like mini safes. Preppers have used them for years to store fishing line, meds, waterproof matches, flint, and even emergency cash. Think of them as a pocket-sized gear vault that blends into any kit. You can also repurpose them for signaling, polish the tin's surface, and you've got a small but effective mirror. Or turn it into a fire starter kit, a tiny ferro rod, some cotton, a flint, and you've got fire anywhere. One more use? Char cloth. These tins are fire-ready. Throw in cotton scraps, seal the lid with a tiny pinhole, and toss it into a flame. Within minutes, you've created premium fire-starting material. My take? I've packed 5 tins with specific purposes: fire, first aid, barter, repair, and morale. Each labeled, each test. Now it's your move. Are you still tossing out those old tins? Or will you turn them into tools that outlast batteries, flashlights, and fancy gear? Let me know below. Number 12. Twist ties, bread loaf closures. They come with your bread. You crumple them, toss them, or maybe stick one to the fridge out of habit. But those tiny strips of wire, wrapped in colored paper or plastic? In a full-blown collapse, they become tactical tools no one saw coming. First, let's talk about utility. Twist ties are lightweight, bendable, and reusable. That makes them perfect for organizing gear, securing loose wires, bundling cords, or attaching small items to bags and belts. When your flashlight's hanging by a thread or your charging cables need control, twist ties deliver quick fixes without the bulk of paracord or duct tape. Need to rig a snare or set a basic perimeter alert? Twist ties can trigger makeshift traps or hold up noisemakers like cans and metal washers. You're turning trash into a security system. They also make excellent zipper pulls, especially when cold weather makes fine motor control tough. Break a tab, loop a twist tie through, and keep moving. And here's something you didn't expect. Twist ties are trade items. When chaos hits and people are drowning in clutter, the guy with a dozen twist ties becomes the guy who can organize and stabilize. Small advantage? Maybe. But in a crisis, every edge counts. Bonus. Color code them for medical gear, ammo types, or ration bags. One little tie becomes a tagging system when labels are gone and memory fades. My take? I save every twist tie I get. I wrap them into bundles and store them in gear kits. Never glamorous, always useful. Now your turn. Are twist ties just bread bag trash in your house? Or have you ever thought about how they might hold your survival plan together? Drop your thoughts below. So now you know the most powerful survival tools aren't locked in some tactical vault or hidden behind a $500 bug-out bag. They're sitting quietly in your kitchen, your closet, your junk drawer, ignored, underestimated, and insanely valuable when everything else falls apart. Because when the system crashes, it's not the guy with the biggest bunker who wins, it's the one who noticed the little things. The one who saw a twist tie, a matchbox, a crayon, not as trash, but as leverage, as light, as life. And here's the truth. The longer you wait to act on this knowledge, the fewer of these items you'll be able to find. Because when panic starts, shelves don't get cleared of gold or gadgets, they get stripped of practicality. And people who ignored the small stuff, they'll be begging for it. My advice? Don't be one of them. Start today, build smart, stock what others laugh at now, and watch them line up for it later. And if you found even one item in this list that made you stop and think, then hit that subscribe button. Because we're not here for hype or fear. We're here to make sure you're 5 steps ahead while everyone else is still waking up. Stay sharp, stay silent, stay ready, and I'll see you in the next one.